You can make your life and the lives of all the other developers around you way easier just by knowing error handling. So let's get started. Up till now, we focused on the successful state of a promise. But what about the failure state? Well, if you remember from the very first video, I mentioned that reject put a promise into the failure state. And it's very similar to resolve. Just like resolve, you're going to pass in some sort of information so that when you handle this failure state, you know why your promise failed. And just like the successful state has a dot then, the failure state has a dot catch. And this dot catch is going to take in this information right here in this error. So whatever is passed into this reject will be what this error is. So in this example, we have a function and it's going to check a number. If it's greater than 5, then we're going to resolve it with greater than 5. If not, we're going to put this promise into the failure state and say that it is not greater than 5. For this test, we're going to pass 4 into this function. So this way, if you run your code, we get that error message, not greater than 5. Now getting that error message is good, but there's an even better way to do this. So you can replace this message with new error and then pass that message in. So now if you run your code again, it will show that error message, but now it gives a little bit more information about exactly where it happened at. And this new error is my preferred way of error handling because it makes my life easier and also the lives of all the other developers around me much easier. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments below. And in the description, there's a GitHub repo full of real-world examples with a bunch of comments explaining everything. And while you're down there, you might as well subscribe. But what about handling errors with the async and await? When using async and await, you don't have that dot then and dot catch. Instead, you're going to use what's called a try catch. So just like you learned before, you're going to create a variable and await a promise. And that promise, whatever is resolved, is going to be stored in that variable so that you can log it to the console. And all of that is going to live within this try block. A good way to figure out what should go in that try block is thinking about it like this. I want my code to try to execute, but if something goes wrong, I need to catch that error. So this way, if an error happens, it goes into this catch block. Now in this example, this function stays exactly the same. The only thing that changes is we're using async and await instead of that dot then dot catch. So we'll call this function, and if something goes wrong, then we're going to handle it in this catch and then log it to the console. And of course, something will go wrong because we're passing in 4. So if we decide to run this code, we're going to get that error right here, not greater than 5. And this is a very simple example of error handling. If you want to deepen your knowledge, then you should go visit that GitHub repo full of real-world examples. After that, make sure you go out and build something great.